Welcome to The Amy Gregory Show, the show where real estate gets a reality check and success doesn't require burnout. I'm Amy, your straight shooting, pep talk in your pocket host who took the real estate world by storm with zero cold calls, no door knocking, and a firm no thanks to working 50-hour weeks. 8 years ago, I jumped into real estate with both feet, 3 kids, and a baby on the way. In my rookie year, I broke every rule in the book, earning 6 figures working just 10 hours a week. The industry was shocked. I wasn't. Now, I lead a powerhouse team of over 500 female solo agents nationwide, host retreats, create online courses, and sit proudly in the top 10 of my brokerage with over 85,000 agents. My mission? To help women like you scale your business, trust your intuition, and redefine what success looks like on your terms. So if you're ready to play big, ditch the hustle culture, and build a business that fits your life, not the other way around, you're in the right place. Let's get into it. Hi, and welcome to the very first episode of The Amy Gregory Show. And I'm not going to lie, saying those words out loud feels absolutely wild. When I started in real estate in 2017, my goal was to bring home an extra $100,000, which probably shows my optimism and my naivety. I had no idea that the average salary for a real estate agent in the U.S. generally hit between $45,000 and $63,000. So for me to be thinking I was going to make $100,000, not only my first year in real estate, but also given the fact that I only had 10 hours to devote to the endeavor, I was borderline nuts, which actually probably served me really, really well. But zero exaggeration, I was fairly confident I could bring home $100,000 my very first year with only 10 hours a week to devote to it. In hindsight, I'm really, really grateful I only told this idea to a handful of people at the time, because once I did do it and then I told the internet, people legitimately thought I was crazy or just flat out a liar. 8 years later, I'm pretty sure there are still people on the internet that think I'm lying, but I have the tax records to show it. And I remember exactly where I was when that last check came in, and it pushed me to $106,000 my first year in real estate. And I'm probably supposed to tell you that I was shocked that it happened or that I couldn't believe it. But in all reality, I was more like, I told you so. Because sometimes when you know what you have to rely on what you know. That is actually the gift of being naive and having fresh eyes in a new market. When you don't realize your idea is a little crazy, it's easier for you to believe it. And that is the very first step to being successful at anything. You have to believe it's possible. And perhaps that's what this podcast is all about. To be honest, this is my first episode I've ever recorded out of a podcast all by myself. And I'm not totally sure where this takes me. And I think inside this business, that's the one thing I've learned is it's okay to start something not knowing quite where it ends, because never in a million years in 2017 did I think the little side hustle of an extra $100,000 would lead to everything that it has led to. So here we are. We want to bring that belief to you. Over the years, I've talked to literally thousands of female solo agents, and I've noticed a pattern. You're lonely, lost, and your broker often thinks you're out to lunch if you think you can do this job with a baby on your hip. If you've ever been told to knock doors with your 4 kids in a wagon, this show's for you. If you've ever hidden your pregnancy from your broker, this show's for you. If you've ever been told your social media only works because you're attractive, this show's for you. If you've ever been told you'll need to miss every ball game, this show is for you. If you've ever been told that you can't be a listing agent until you've been in the business for at least 2 years, this show is for you. If you've ever been told you need to teach other agents in your firm without getting paid, this show is for you. If you've ever been told you need to stay on a team, this show's for you. If you've ever been told your success is lucky, this show is for you. Those are all things either I've been told or agents I've worked with over the years have been told. And I'm here to tell you, none of that is true. You can do this with a baby on your hip. You can do it in part-time hours. You can go on vacation in this business. You can scale from your kitchen table. And while all of that advice, it has been well-intended, I think we can all agree that it's a little outdated and harmful. Here's some data that actually matters if you're a female solo agent. Over 65% of agents are female. So the vast majority of us, and yet most of the advice being given is coming from our male counterparts. And while insightful, it often overlooks our distinct lifestyle differences. I've actually never had 8 hours outside of the home to devote to my career. And that's frankly by choice. I like being a mom. I like being home. So I built a business that integrates with that. Another thing I didn't know when I first got started, over 91% of home purchases are influenced by women. That means women are the decision makers when it comes to buying homes, which means if you're a female agent, you have an unfair advantage because you speak their language. And this isn't to say that their male counterparts aren't part of the decision. Anecdotally, I've noticed this pattern with my clients. Is there a study on the internet that backs it up? Probably not, but I'm really good at recognizing patterns. And patterns are like the number one thing you need to master inside your business. It's the most important math in your business is understanding the pattern. And one of the patterns I've noticed inside my clientele is that, sorry, we're going to be able to edit this? Okay, good. All of a sudden I'm like, wait. So inside my clientele of mostly traditional families, the husbands are commuting to work while the wives tend to be stay-at-home moms or work closer to home. Their lifestyle is such that the home matters more to her and impacts her more than her husband. So most smart men will defer to her on the where and the what. They don't actually really want to go look at a gajillion homes. She does. They're almost always aligned on finances, but the house is mostly her domain. So she really becomes the primary decision maker. These are all things I realized after I hit 100K my first year, but they're all things that helped contribute to my success. Prior to that, I was just kind of crazy. And here's the deal. When it comes to being an entrepreneur or business builder or a creator in general, you need to be borderline crazy. Crazy in your ideas and crazy in your pursuit of them. No one achieves much of anything without being borderline or full-fledged crazy. So here I was, a brand new agent, thinking I could bring home an extra $100,000 working 10 hours a week. At the time, my oldest was in 4th grade, my daughter was in 2nd grade, and my youngest was in pre-K, which meant he was at school for 10 hours a week. That's why I had 10 hours a week to work on real estate. This episode is sponsored by StanStore, the simplest way to turn your social media followers into clients. Want to build your database straight from Instagram without the tech headaches? I've got you. Click the link in the show notes to download my website template for realtors, designed to help you capture leads and grow your business with ease. Because your social media should be more than just likes. It should be your lead generating machine. If you'll notice, I actually have 4 kids, so the 4th was not even born when I got started. So how in the world did I think I was going to accomplish all of this? To answer that, we have to go back a few years. I actually never intended to pursue real estate. I thought I was going to have more kids, so I just kept content with my little side hustle until I miscarried my 4th pregnancy. And it hit me. I might actually be done having kids. Like my 3rd baby might go to school and I might have all of this time on my hands. And I thought, what in the world am I going to do all day? I had gotten my license when my oldest was, before he was even born. So 17 years ago is when I got my license. I worked for a home builder and I'd always had my real estate license. And I thought, maybe I should go back to real estate. And the thought of that actually terrified me. But I was in the middle of grieving a miscarriage, and all of a sudden, all these new ideas came to my mind of like, well, I might have to recreate what I thought my reality was going to be. And the thing about having a miscarriage is you end up going through all the hormonal changes of being pregnant and having a baby, but you're not actually end up being pregnant and having a baby. So logically, I knew I was going to be fine, but emotionally, I was a wreck. And I remember standing in my family room, talking to my husband, and I just had tears streaming down my face. And I was like, logically, I know I'm going to be fine. It's going to be fine if we only have 3 kids. I logically know that, but emotionally, I can't get this under control. And I said, I'm going to start going to the gym. I probably should have gone to therapy, but I've actually found that the gym works better than therapy for me. So I just went to the gym, and this was the first time in my motherhood life that I started a consistent gym schedule. If you have kids, you know, like if you know, you know. When you're like pregnant or breastfeeding or have toddlers, it's really hard to be on a gym schedule. So this is the first time I started going to the gym really consistently. And in that, I started listening to podcasts all about real estate. And I was listening, surprisingly enough, they were all hosted by men, and they were all talking about how to build real estate businesses. And they kept talking about building teams and buying Zillow leads and all of these like really complex spreadsheet type businesses. And I was like, have they not heard of social media? Like, have they not heard of Instagram? I honestly could not find any episodes that talked about Instagram other than the fact that they would say that's a horrible idea. Meanwhile, I'm in the gym and I'm listening to this and I'm like, it's not a horrible idea, because my background prior to real estate was I was working with fashion bloggers. Like, that's how old I am. They were called fashion bloggers then. I was working with fashion bloggers. I had an online storefront and I was a freelance graphic designer, and I would design graphic tees. I would send them to fashion bloggers and they would post about them and they would sell my shirts for me. And so I understood the nuances of social media before I was in real estate. And I kept thinking, like, why is no one talking about this on these podcasts? Because, I mean, theoretically, they're the experts. And now here I am sitting in a podcast studio being the expert. And why aren't they talking about social media? And so I probably listened to 100 different podcast episodes in that gym routine. And I realized, oh my gosh, there's not a real estate agent that is an expert at this. And here I was. I don't think back then I would have called myself an expert, but now looking back, I would have said I was already an expert on social media, and I had my license, and it became like this perfect merger where I was like, oh, real estate agents and fashion bloggers have the same business model. A fashion blogger or influencer is what would call them now, or creator, I don't know. They sell someone else's inventory for a small percentage. So all of those Amazon influencers that you follow, and they say, oh, comment links for like all the shirts. Those Amazon, they're getting commissions on every shirt that they sell, and it might only be 3% of the shirt, right? But that's the same commission a real estate agent takes on a sale of a home, right? So you're selling someone else's product for a small commission. And I thought, well, why aren't real estate agents using social media like a fashion blogger would? And so I say quickly, it wasn't quickly. I was listening to these podcasts for 3 or 4 months. And I came home one day and I was like, I'm going to shut down every side hustle and I'm pursuing real estate. And if we never have any other kids, I guess this is what I'm going to do. And I was like, jumped both feet in. Sure enough, a month later, I realized I was pregnant with my 4th baby. And I was like, okay, awesome. This is usually how it works for me. I have one set of plans and God always has another set of plans. And so I thought, okay, cool. We're going to do this with a baby on our hip. And that was my first year in real estate. I was pregnant with baby number 4. I used social media as my main lead generation tool. And I remember going into my broker's office when I first started, and he said, well, and this guy was really smart. Like, he's one of the smartest guys in real estate, like in the country. He's built one of the most robust real estate business. Like, I'm not exaggerating when I say that. And like rung the bell on Wall Street kind of smart, right? Taking a company public. And I remember sitting in his office and he's like, well, how are you going to like lead generate? And I looked him straight in the face and I said, well, I'm going to use social media. And he kind of looked at me like, okay, I don't get it. And again, this is how young and naive I was. And I was like, well, frankly, you should be using social media too. And at the time they were like fixing and flipping houses. And I had told him, I said, well, this was like when Fixer Upper was big on network TV. And I was like, well, it should be like Fixer Upper. Like, you guys should buy the house. You don't even want to like make all the decisions for the tile and the flooring and the curtains and all of the things. I said, so you should, partner with an interior designer that has a big Instagram account because she needs a blank canvas to showcase her work. And remember, like, she is like a fashion blogger, but for interior design stuff, right? So she wants to fill that house with furniture and then share the links with her audience. She wants to put in the KitchenAid appliances and then share the links with her audience and drive sales that way. And she needs a blank canvas. So, you know, the interior designer needs a blank canvas. The fix and flip real estate people, they want this person to make those decisions. They don't want to be bogged down with all those decisions. They're the money behind it. They're the creativity behind it. And I was the real estate agent behind it. And I said, you know, you should start branding your fix and flips. They should be like this. They should be able to, like, someone looking at it should be able to know, oh, that's theirs. That is the whole goal of marketing. And so we actually did a couple of deals like that together. We set some records on some houses, which was really, really fun. But again, it was me being naive enough to suggest that to someone of his caliber, because trust me, he did not need my advice or my opinion or my help with anything. But it was really a good boost to my confidence to have it taken seriously and say, yeah, let's go and do that and see it unfold in real life. So my first year in real estate, I primarily use social media. I use it just like a fashion blogger would use it. And the term Home Tour Tuesday was coined. And every single Tuesday, this is how old I am or how long ago this was, is every single Tuesday, I would get on Instagram, and to post on Instagram stories back then, you had to be like posting in real time, and they were in like 15-second, like the stories were only 15 seconds long, and you had to film them inside the app. Like you had to film them in Instagram. So in order for me to do a home tour on Tuesday, which that's what it was called Home Tour Tuesday, and you have to start naming your thing so people can anticipate what you're doing. It was Home Tour Tuesday. I literally had to be in a house every single Tuesday in order to film that and post that on my Instagram account. And I think sometimes, you know, I talk to agents now, like, oh, it's so hard to grow on Instagram. And I'm like, you're out of your mind. You're out of your mind if you think it's harder to grow on Instagram now than it was back then. It's not that it's hard, it's that you're not committed. And it's like that you don't understand the process and you're not willing to be consistent on the process. So anything you want to build, you've got to be consistent on it. So every single Tuesday, I had a home tour to film, and I would have to be in a house. I would have to have the other agent's permission to post it. And I would tour people through houses around the valley. And the only way that they could then get in contact with me was to like DM me. All of these sophisticated funnels where we now have like links and bios, that did not exist in 2017. It just didn't exist. So now Instagram is so much more robust for lead generation. If you're not using it, we're going to get into a lot of Instagram inside the podcast as we get going. But that was just the start. And I literally thought, oh, I'm going to sell a couple houses every year. I'm going to take nicer vacations and I'm going to work 10 hours a week. And fast forward 7 years, and it is so much more. It's so much more than that, but you have to be crazy enough to just start the thing. So today I'm just starting the thing, and I don't actually know how this ends. I don't know where this podcast takes me. And that is the magic. Right. And I didn't know that when I started in 2017, but since 2017, I have doubled and tripled and 10x'd that $100,000 in my first year, retired my husband. I've moved my license over to EXP. I've become one of their top 5 recruiters in the entire company. And you have to just think about this for just a second. I'm still a mom to 4. I still work part-time hours. I'm still doing this from my kitchen table. Like, this recording right now is the most fancy thing I've ever done inside my business. And yet we've gone past $1 million in revenue on an annual basis. That is crazy. It's crazy. But that is the effect of social media inside of your business. It allows you to connect with other agents. It allows you to connect with people all over the country. And I'm talking like, yes, you can connect with clients that are inside your little zip code buying and selling, but it also allows you to connect with a referral arm. So agents have to start thinking bigger than just their local market. I think so many agents get into real estate thinking like, okay, I'm going to sell some houses and then I'm going to create this generational wealth and I'm never going to have to work again. And I'm going to buy investment properties or some form of thought like that. And that's true. But so many agents never get there because you sell a house and you go buy a designer bag, or you sell a house and you go buy a new car, and it ruins all of the growth inside your business. And so a lot of this is slow and steady growth. But the interesting thing about social media is it will compound over time. So the numbers start to compound, the technology and the apps get phenomenally better, but the opportunities as you grow also get phenomenally better. And when you have a portfolio of your work, it makes it so much easier for people to say, yep, I want to work with you. So inside the podcast, we are going to break down exactly how you can go from brand new agent to scaled and successful without hitting burnout. Too many agents are running on this hamster wheel of close more transactions. And while closing more transactions is one part of the equation, it's not the whole equation. We want you to be closing better transactions. We want you working less hours and making more money. And I know that sounds a little bit crazy, but that is who always wins. The crazy ones always win. And I hope you are willing to be a little bit crazy with me as we build a business that better integrates into your lifestyle. Thanks for being here for the first episode of The Amy Gregory Show. See you next time. Thanks for tuning in to The Amy Gregory Show. If today's episode gave you that I needed this feeling, go ahead and hit subscribe so you never miss a pep talk when you need it most. And hey, if you're ready to scale your business without the burnout, I've got you. Head over to @AmyGregory on Instagram to connect, grab free resources, or join my community of powerhouse women who are redefining real estate success. Until next time, trust your gut, take up space, and remember, you're just one bold move away from your next breakthrough.